So where are you from?
Indianapolis.
Shut up. What part?
Yeah. So I grew up on the south side. I grew up in Greenwood. I went to Whiteland High School.
I went to Decatur Central.
Did you really? Dude, that's awesome, man.
Small world, right?
Dude, that's nuts, man. Dude, I love my indie guys, dude. That's cool.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get started. Hey, today we've got Scuba Steve Spray. Some of you guys may know him from Grant Cardone's office. So, Steve, thanks for coming on with me, man. Really happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. Hey, well, let's give, we were just talking before we went live here a little bit about both being Indianapolis boys. So let's go back. What did you do before, you went to the conglomerate, the heaven of all sales places, Grant Cardone's office? What were you doing before you moved down there?
Yeah, so I've had a number of different sales jobs before I came to work for Grant. I was in Indianapolis. That's where I grew up. I was born and raised there. I lived there for 26 years. I had a number of different jobs that range from selling boats, selling real estate, selling cars, sold mobile phones, insurance. So I had a number of different things that I did before I came to work for Grant. So that was in the sales world.
Nice. So basically selling anything you can get your hands on, sounds like.
Yeah, totally. I was trying everything. I was trying to make it in each area.
Yeah, and it's I can, being from Indianapolis myself, and now I'm actually located in Kentucky, just outside of Louisville. Going to Miami, you don't have to deal with the winters anymore, right? That's probably one of the best parts.
Yeah, now there's 2 days in February each year it gets down to 55, so I don't have to.
You guys had to put a jacket on, right?
Yeah, pretty much, man. It's a different world down here that people get all freaked out when it gets to 55, so it's not like the Midwest.
Is it is it a lot more fast paced down there than it is, in the Midwest?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot more going on, but I think it's just in the city. I mean, when I graduated high school, I moved downtown. I lived in Indianapolis, so I was in the city, which you're familiar with Indy, and so it's a city that has a lot going on, just like every other place in the world. So it's definitely different here in Miami because there's all different types of cultures in Miami, so it's a little bit different. But I think it's the same as a lot of the other places that people see, big cities.
Cool. So take us as you transition through. What was it like coming in to start working for Grant and to sell more of an informational product than the hard goods? Because I definitely saw a transformation, even though my startup business, we do landscaping and power washing, so I mainly work with blue collar service businesses. But on the flip side of that, when you're going from actually providing something as a hard good to providing a service, what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome in that?
I mean, the biggest challenge that I personally had to face was that I went from dealing with mostly consumers to when I came here to work with Grant. I'm only talking to CEOs. I'm talking to business owners. I'm talking to people who've been in the business world for, some of them longer than I've lived. So
right.
It was just a different transition. It was kind of hard to get it, change the mindset, which was, probably the biggest challenge that I had to face and really understand that, which really helped me understand a lot more about what I was doing because I had to put myself in their shoes a little bit and figure out, hey, what does the business owner want versus, what's the consumer actually want?
Right. Yeah, what's their needs and challenges? That makes complete sense. So, man, as we're shifting, you're actually the first guest on as I come back from my hiatus on the podcast. So I wanted to kind of get some outside perspective. So we're going to talk about 3 tips that guys can help be either more efficient or sell more. My saying is I always help people sell whatever they're selling, more of it, more often, and a lot easier. So what's tip number 1 that you can give the guys that are listening out there on implementing some systems or strategies to help them sell a little easier or faster?
Yeah, so I mean the first thing ever, and you hear Grant Cardone talking about this all the time, right? And so this is where I basically pull it from is that the number one thing in selling, the first thing that you got to do is get attention.
Right.
And so any business, any salesperson, their biggest challenge that they face every single day is that, look, man, people just don't know you. They don't know who you are. They don't know your company. It's not saying that they don't need your product, they don't need your service, or they don't need you to come help them out. It's dude, man, they don't know who you are, and people aren't reaching out to you all day long, and so the biggest challenge for most people is that they're just in obscurity. And so that's the number one thing.
Is got to grab attention.
How can I get more attention in the right way so that people know who I am? They know who I am. They consider me the celebrity in that space. And that's what you want to think about. And so that was one thing that I wasn't doing. And, I told you I had a lot of different jobs before I came to work for Grant. I'll tell you that the reason I had a lot of different jobs is not because those jobs don't have opportunity, man. It's because I suck. Yeah. And I didn't make a commitment to saying, look, I'm getting out of obscurity. I'm actually getting well known as that go-to guy, because nobody wants to do business with somebody who's not, the expert, right? So if I'm if I'm a electrician or I'm trying to do something to my house, right?
Yeah.
And I got something, I need to get some fans up, I need to get some lights changed, I need to get some some dimmer switches put in. I'm not calling my cousin who just bought a tool belt 2 weeks ago and now is all of a sudden an electrician, right? I'm just like, hey,
thanks but no thanks.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to call the professional. And the first person I'm going to think about is the one who has my attention that I know. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
because I'm not going to the yellow pages anymore. I'm not actually looking people up anymore. I'm thinking, who do I know?
Yeah. And that's I just got back from Maryland 2 days ago, and I was doing my top of mind marketing there. And a lot of times, my top of mind marketing system that I teach is, sending out these mail pieces in like colored envelopes to grab that attention, because honestly the CEOs or the business consumers, a lot of the guys that I work with, they deal with property managers at apartment complexes or HOAs. They don't get a lot of direct mail anymore. That was like back in the 90s. So the mail stuff works now. I'm not saying bulk mail as far as postcards, but a colored envelope with no return address, with something kind of bulky in it, you're going to grab their attention. And so, we kind of phased over into talking about Facebook ads a little bit, and that's what I'm seeing. Like, the Facebook ads are huge, man. The ability to target on the consumer side is just astronomical. I had a lady call me the other day for my service business, Easy Pro, and she's like, hey, we got our house washed 3 or 4 years ago, and we really liked the guy. He did a great job. And I'm like, well, do you remember who it was? And they're like, no. And they're calling me now. And I sold the job. And it's like, I'm like, God, what a bozo business owner to, A, not stay in front of your market, but B, definitely staying in front of your previous customers so that when they're ready to buy again, I think attention, guys just really miss the boat on that, man. They don't get it.
Totally. And then so, if you're looking for 3 tips, man, I'll jump right into
what's number 2?
I'll jump right into the second one, because I think it really just bridges exactly off of what you're saying right now. Once you get the attention, look, not everybody's in the market for what you do at that time, right? You may send out a ton of mailers, and that's awesome. You may do a bunch of Facebook ads. That's awesome. What the biggest challenge that people don't understand is they don't understand follow-up. Mm-hmm. They don't get it. And so the problem is, and so we just did a huge deal in my office called The Greatest Sales Secret of All Time.
Yeah, saw that.
In my office, and I think we had, there was probably 10,000 people who were on it live. And so, man, the biggest thing that's helped me in my career has been the follow-up. But the follow-up has got to be proper, and most people don't get it, right? So if I'm going to send out a bunch of mailers, dude, I got to follow up on the mailers, right? And so I got to figure out, hey, how can I get back in front of those people? Do I need to go knock on doors? Hey, I sent you some mail a week ago. You should have got it. Wanted to drop by, introduce myself, shake hands, find out, hey, how soon are you going to be in the market for what I do, my services, and who are you thinking about right now? Who do you know in your neighborhood right now who needs my services today?
Right. Yeah, that asking for the referrals. I see guys, missing out on that a lot. When I'll tell them, the best time to ask for that referral is as soon as you get done. They're like, well, don't you think I should wait a week? And I'm like, no, they're in the emotion of just buying your product. You've got to hit them then. They're all jacked up and fired up.
Absolutely.
And they blow it, man. They completely miss the bus on that.
Totally. So look, here's a statistic for you. 92% of all clients will say that, hey, look, man, I'd be willing to give a referral. And then here's the alarming stat. So if 92% of all your clients are willing to give you a referral, only 11% of salespeople, and everybody's a salesperson, only 11% of salespeople actually ask for them. And I'll tell you the best time to ask for a referral. It's when you're thinking about it. It's right now. I ask for referrals before I close almost every single deal.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm asking for it before I close the deal. Why am I doing that? Dude, because it gets in their mind. They're all jacked up. They're getting ready to do the deal, and then now they're thinking about, man, maybe if I give this guy a referral, he's going to cut me a little deal or something.
Right, yeah. Who can I bring along with me?
Yeah, and I got a guy negotiate with me on price, and I'm like, hey, man, totally understand you want to, negotiate on price, and I completely get that. Hey, who do you know? Who are you thinking about right now who could use my services in your neighborhood?
Solid. That's solid.
And that doesn't mean I even have to discount my price, but I'm going to get a referral out of the guy, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll give the guy a little kickback or something, man. Hey, you want to save a couple bucks? Who do you know?
Yeah.
And that's where most people, they're not good at negotiating. They don't understand negotiation, and that's the biggest part. I mean, probably one of the biggest things for me was that I just didn't know, and so I started digging in, and I really started learning, and I really started understanding these things because I'm thinking, man, there's opportunity everywhere. And I'm missing it because there's so many people in the marketplace just making noise.
Right. And then, especially in the service industry, what I see a lot of times is, and there's a lot of books out there written on this train of thought. It's like, my first price is my best price. We don't negotiate, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they're missing a whole, it's like, it's almost like saying there's no difference between selling and closing, which we both know there's a huge difference. Totally. It's like saying negotiation doesn't play a part in there. Negotiation does play a part. We're just saying, we're not going to cut our price in half 2 minutes into the conversation before I'm even sure that these people are actually sold on the product, right? Like,
right.
Talk a little bit about that, Steve. Talk about, the importance of just because you negotiate with somebody, right? Because I'm not going to, if I have a property manager, if I'm looking at a big project and it's $15,000 and the property manager comes back and says, hey, I got a $14,000 budget. Can you work with me? I'm not going to walk away from that job knowing that my margin's probably $6,000, $7,000 on that. Like, why, help the guys that are maybe stuck in that rut right now that think, well, I've read these books and they say that my first price has to be my best price and we don't negotiate. What do you guys have to say about that?
Yeah, well, so they lose the deal because they don't understand what's happening.
Right.
Right. And they think that people buy on price. People don't really buy on price, man. And if you do this, so do this for yourself. Every time, when I wake up, I'm always thinking about, hey, what's happening with my deals? And then I start looking at how I operate when I buy things because I got to understand what's that guy actually thinking? How's he operating, right? And so I got to think about, look, how do I operate when I go buy things, when I do things like that, right? So really think about that and really understand it. People don't buy on price.
Right.
Okay. They may be looking for the best price, and that may even be the thing that grabbed the attention. They're like, "Oh, dude, this guy's got an awesome
price." I'm actually limited on download size right now, so make sure to check out right here. I'll put a little link up so that you can check out part number 2 of my interview with Scuba Steve. Thanks for watching, guys.